What's up everyone, Matt Day with CLA back with another transition video for you. Today we're going over our ways to work clearing into transition. A lot of times when you're first teaching the game, probably very easy to have 3 lines of offense, 2 lines of defense, 2 guys get in, and traditionally you'll throw a ball in and you'll start from standing still. So if you guys are youth middle school coaches, probably a good idea to start off with those so they can get shaping, spacing, things like that down. As you guys get into middle school and high school, you need to have them crashing in and playing in real game situations as opposed to starting in the lines already, or at least that's the approach that we have here at CLA and TC Elite. So today I'm going to walk through some ways on how you can make these more realistic while working on other things. You guys know that 90-minute practices, if you're running those, are not as much time as you think they are. So if there's a way we can work on clearing and transition and unsettle at the same time, I'm going to do that instead of isolating all 3 of them. Unless I see a problem, then of course I would isolate one of those skills specifically. So today we'll talk about 3v2s, 4v3s, and 5v4s. We have a Spartan drill for 6v5s that you'll see the video labeled Spartan drill, where we build up to a 6v6 with a trailer. Anything above a 5v4 is probably going to mirror a Spartan drill anyways. So that's why I have that asterisk here. So today we're just going to focus on 3v2s through 5v4s, and I'm going to take you through that setup now. So let the defense be the indicator of how you set up your drill. In the case that you have 2 defense and 3 offense, you want to start off with 3 offense on the near 40, like this, and your poles would be in on the pipes, and you can do one of 2 things. Have your lines outside the box on both sides so they would rotate in like this, or some coaches will put them behind. Only thing with that is be mindful that these guys are not getting hit by shots. I like the first approach where we can release defense from a side. Some of you are probably thinking, well, what if I only have 5 poles? Well, then just do one side and have these guys stay for 2 reps. So rotation wise, it would be in, over, he comes out, goes to the back of the line. Just so some options there for you. So we're going to go through the 3v2 first. Points of emphasis obviously on all these would be clears and confident ball handlers on defense. I think that these defensemen, the way that I coach things, they should have to earn the right to take a break. And so we see a lot of defensemen who are great takeaway defensemen, great on ball. They slide well, they communicate well. But when the ball's on the ground, there's no urgency to get rid of the ball and get it out, right? So here, a lot of times they're hiding because they don't want to handle the ball. We got to make them do that. So we break them out, make them better clear defensemen, and that's when the defense possession ends, is when they're successful at clearing. So we can't overlook that part of the game. Secondly is a lot of these guys are going to be finishing above the restraining line or above at least the 15-20 yard mark from the goal. And so they have to work in to get in, which is really what lacrosse transition is like at the higher levels, which is very rarely are you going to be in a perfect situation, I formation as the ball comes down and you're already set up before the turnover happens. A lot of times you're going to carry up this side and you're going to throw a ball and it's going to get dropped, and you're going to have to work all the way back in to get inside before you work back out, and this is a good way to work on that. Finally, I kind of just touched on a realistic transition, offense as well. You can play with the time that these guys are being released. You could even do, in this situation, release 2 at a time, release a trailer late if you wanted to have a 2v2 with a trailer. But just some options where you guys can be creative and work on different situations as you know, you see fit for your teams. So 2v2, very simple. Start with all your balls in the goal. Let the goalie dictate. We would want to break. Okay, again, these guys are probably a little bit further outside. And what we're going to do is make sure everybody gets a touch. So he's going to pick a side, and let's say he went to this defenseman here. This guy was all the way out. I'm going to take these guys out because I think you get the picture of having them released from the side. And 1 of 2 things needs to happen, right? First thing is he's going to call over. So an overpass would be here. Okay? Or the term that we use is through or redirect. So a through would be, just like it sounds, goalies should work on being ball side, or if they're behind the pipe, behind the cage, right? So through would be here, and then he throws it to the other side. When maybe at first out you guys start doing throughs because we're missing the overpasses, and then you graduate to the overs once you've worked on that. So either way you do it, each defenseman is going to get a touch, and they're going to finish by carrying up a little bit and going to one of the couple of lines up top. And as that happens, we're pushing a 3v2. And the final thing that needs to happen, whatever defenseman usually ends up here, getting that ball up, it's most likely going to become our point, as this guy, as soon as he gives it up, is going to be the low guy. Okay, so you want a high-low concept there, you want an I formation, you want a realistic, give the offense a head start but within control, make it a little bit harder than the game would be, and then that way you can clear into a 3v2. Alright, so that would be a 3v2 variation. A 4v3, I'm not going to drop a whole drill because the concept pretty much remains the same, but one thing I would advocate is that you use a, number one, more depth for your offensive players, make them run a little bit more. So I would back those lines up for a 4v3 to here, the 50-yard line. If you'd like, I've seen guys cheat this line down a little bit, so that way those would be attackmen on the outside, so they actually have a chance to be a part of the play in the box. Defensively, your initial startup would be here. Here's our box. And you can do one of two things. You can do a triangle and designate, like let's say that this is box side. Designate him to go away from the box if you want. Or you could start in an L if you wanted to and just say, go ahead and start up at the 40-yard line like you would be. That's going to be up to you. I do recommend that regardless of what you do, you start out with a goalie breaking them all out and either going up or staying home, like a floater would be in like an open clear situation. Either way, everybody gets a touch. Remember, we're using redirect and through terminology, and we're making sure all defensemen get a touch, and then they give it up when we play a 4v3 once the ball hits the offense. Final thing, 5v4, you would probably transition to one of two things when you clear. You might have an L in the middle, or you may have a wide open box. And then I would back these lines up to the 40-yard line for offense and make 5 of them. So that's really 3 ways that you can handle clearing into transition. Again, I don't know that you can do this enough. You'll find that some guys will understand the concept of a 3v2, but when they get in games and there's more running involved, maybe they don't get to their spots as often. A lot of conditioning involved in this. So I always like to have them clear into it. So in the event that there is a turnover, we're going to be able to get back in. And it's more realistic instead of if the defense turns the ball over, we just start the rep over. We need to be conditioning our defensemen to handle the rock and make good decisions with the ball. And then realize, hey man, your reward is you get to play more defense and get back in. And you'll find that defensemen like this a little bit more because they're sprinting more like it would be in a real game. So again, give that a try. Those are clearing into transition. If you haven't already watched the 6v5 Spartan drill, which is a 3v3 and then build up into a 6v6 with trailers at each level. But this is another great way to start incorporating clearing into your transition and work on a couple things simultaneously. So as usual, leave a comment if you like it. If you don't, leave a comment. Leave us some variations that you've liked that maybe we can pick your brain on. But we'll be back with another video soon. Thanks for giving this one a watch.